Hello there. Uh, we are here in Kenobi Talk. I think we are not putting the S at the end because I think there
No,
was a little bit confusion last time. We are. I am David Garcia, the current Star Wars, well, not really, former Star Wars champion of opening night trivia because I am just calling myself that now. And I'm here with Thomas Scully, who sadly couldn't join us today. But I think we are going to have a very interesting episode for you guys today. A little shorter one because we only had one episode this week. But Scully, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. It's nice. I'm thankful that they moved it up to Wednesdays instead of Fridays. Which and I think going off of the cliffhanger from last week, I think we
Yeah,
needed we needed 2 less days to wait for this next
yeah,
episode. I think going off what how this week ended, I think a week is fine, honestly.
yeah. I mean, it took me completely by surprise. I didn't know they had moved it to like Wednesday, and then I was
I,
scrolling through.
I, I had to remind everybody in the chat, like, remember, it comes out tonight. Everyone
I I
relax, and they're
was
like, "Oh my god!"
I was scrolling through Facebook on Wednesday, and then I thought I saw a post of our dear Nico Suave Regoli saying the episode was great, and I was like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah,
So yeah, and I was shopping, and I told my sister, "So we have to like finish right now and go home to watch Kenobi," and we did. And to be honest, this episode was pretty brutal. This episode was in one word brutal because we well I want to go first to how like the main course of the episode was that was Vader. And I think the portrayal of Vader is basically what we have been getting out of him from Rebels and from Rogue One. Like it's a figure that everybody's afraid of and that nobody can really like touch.
yeah,
So
I agree. I mean, and I said this to you before we went live. His personality in the EU, which is not canon anymore, but they've kind of translated that to what's happening now in this canon, and it's brilliant. I mean, like, he's more than just a big scary guy in a mask and a cape. He is insanely brutal with force abilities that are unmatched among anybody else in the galaxy. You can even, I think this is how, and this is where the Inquisitors come in as well. I think they're used, especially in this episode, really well because you have all this conflict going on between each other. But when the mere mention of Lord Vader comes up, they just freeze because they're
yep,
just terrified of even the mentioning of his name. And I think Deborah Chow and the screenwriters have really been able to capture that terror-like feel that you felt in Rogue One, in Rebels, and in all this other new Star Wars media that has come out in the last 10 years. When every time somebody mentions Darth Vader,
yeah, because I didn't consider Darth Vader like a villain for a long time, and but now I do because I always said like Palpatine is the real villain. Darth Vader is like a victim, but seeing this now, how he's been portrayed, he snapped a kid's neck with the Force.
oh,
Just
in this whole 20-year period, 20,
yeah,
25-year period between the end of Revenge of the Sith and the end of Return of the Jedi, he is a villain. He is just as much of a villain as Palpatine is, and like, I think this episode leaves no doubt about that because there is no pain, there is no remorse, there's nothing but rage and just savageness
yeah,
from Vader.
and the amounts, the miles he's willing to go to just lure Obi-Wan out.
Yeah,
He's just killing people that he doesn't know if they did anything or if
he's
they
yeah
know
he's
anything.
slaughtering people
Yep,
left and right. I mean,
yep,
he chokes out a dad, he kills the kid. I mean, like, it's unbelievable. I mean, even every time he goes to a different door, you're terrified of what's going to happen to those people
yep.
living in that house. You're just like, fuck, what's going to happen? and it had me sweating too, even though we kind of know what has to happen.
Yeah,
Um,
and we
so
don't
yeah,
even know those people, so like we don't have an emotional connection to those people he is like killing, but we still fear for them, and I think that's because of Vader's like presence. And I have an interesting story about this because I think the aura of Vader is just is something, and you see it on the screen, you see it everywhere. I remember last time when I went to Disneyland that I got, and I'm telling you, I'm 20, I'm 28 now. I was like 24 back then. I went to to take a photo with Vader, and the moment I saw Vader, I literally froze. I literally froze, and it's not something he's not Vader, but it's just you turn into a kid again, and I
oh
think
yeah.
that's the effect that
And I
this
think
episode.
part of that, especially here, you have the return of James Earl Jones. I mean, honestly, who else? Who else was going to voice him? Just hearing his voice again when he's talking to Ray about at the start of the episode, I was so happy. And like
Yeah,
he's like what 93 years old. He sounds the exact same. He sounds better than he did in Rogue One. He sounds
yeah,
just as good as he did at the end of Revenge of the Sith.
yeah. Okay, moving on from Vader, we'll get to the fight. Uh, I want to talk
If
about.
fight is fight the right word? Is fight the right word?
Okay, yeah, we'll get about the bullying of Obi-Wan. Uh, so I think one of the most interesting things about this episode that we didn't see before is that we have always been presented the galaxy during the Imperial time as like a place of uneasiness, a place where people are not happy. And then we meet, what's the name? Freck? Freck? Is it the name of the guy?
Freck?
No.
Yeah, I think Freck is right.
And
Voiced by
when we
Zach
meet,
Braff, actually. Zach Braff actually voiced him
really?
in
I
this
don't know.
episode.
And then we meet Freck, who is a guy, a normal guy, who supports the Empire. He's not evil. He's like, he supports the Empire. He gives the stormtroopers a ride
Yeah,
because he just. And I think it's an interesting thing to know and to notice that not everybody living under the Empire, like not every um, street folk or worker in the Empire, like feels the effects of it. For some
yeah,
people, it's
yeah,
just
yeah,
the transition
yeah.
between
Yeah.
Republic and Empire is just okay.
I think it goes like you can connect it back to Clone Wars actually, because you have like all those episode arcs where like you see worlds peacefully controlled by the Separatists. They love being free of Republic control. So I
Yeah,
think you have both Separatist worlds and Republic controlled worlds that are probably living very, very like especially rural areas like that, planets like that, are probably living like a lifestyle that is exactly the same or even slightly better under the control of the Empire. So that's a
yeah,
side of this whole time period that we like that really haven't seen much. I'm glad we saw a little bit of it this episode because it kind of puts our main characters in a bit more of a predicament than we would generally assume.
yeah. And speaking of our main characters, I think one of the keys of this episode, which I may even rank as my favorite scene, is the conversation Obi-Wan and Leia have alone on Freck's like transport. When Obi-Wan mentions her mother, but not only he mentions her mother, but we finally get like an understanding on what is it like to be a Jedi youngling,
Hmm.
because he remembers that he was taken from his family. I always assumed they were taken as babies and just raised in the Jedi Temple, but he remembers a baby. Okay, by the way, Obi-Wan Kenobi has a brother. That's not a coincidence that they name dropped that. We are meeting that brother at
Maybe
some
not in this series, but maybe like down the line in
point.
some other sort of media, whether it be a book or a show or whatever, possibly. But I agree. I think that's a really genuine moment between both Leia and Obi-Wan, and like their interactions are my favorite part of the show so far. Because
Yeah,
I think I think that whole conversation of like, you know, you knew her, didn't you? You knew my real mother, and then like it just spirals in this whole conversation about families and things like that, and we get to like play the role of Leia there and just kind of absorb all this information that Obi-Wan tells us about how Jedi, are found, where they're
Yeah,
taken, how they're taken when they're a child, and you kind of just feel, because Obi-Wan as a character in general, you never feel like you have a deep personal connection with them
yeah.
on a more micro level. This was really the first time I think we've really gotten a look at who Obi-Wan really is outside of the Jedi Knight. He remembers he had a brother. He remembers, heirlooms of like his mother and his father. So we know he came from somewhere. And I think all that's going to do is deepen our connection with that character as we go forward.
Because that's what because yeah, I think Jedi, we always think about them like raised in the temple, like in a religion, but people will wonder. It's inevitable that you wonder who's your real father and who's your real mother. Like I guess
Who's your
everybody who's
daddy?
yeah, I'm guessing everybody who's adopted will like think about that. Even no matter how much you love your foster parents or whatever, you will always like think about that at some point. Even if it's not like a driving force of your life, like we are presented a lot in cinema and everything. But
Mm-hmm.
it's inevitable to think about it, and I think Obi-Wan doesn't get controlled by who am I or where I come from, but it's inevitable that he thinks about it at some point,
And
just like
especially
Leia.
because he spent 10 years trying to mask his Jedi self.
Yeah,
So you have to wonder if he's gotten more in touch with who he was before that, what he remembers, and like really kind of digging deep internally and trying to explore who he is outside of being the loyal, trustworthy Jedi that we've seen in the movies and the shows and things like that.
it's so weird to see Obi-Wan handle a blaster. By the way, I
Yeah,
mean,
I was really hoping that after that whole shootout, he would like drop the "so uncivilized" line again.
yeah, because
But hey, he's had 10 years to. I mean, like he spent 10 years with a blaster like in
yeah,
in his waistband. So he may not
I
think
mean,
they're uncivilized anymore. Who knows?
well, okay, so now let's talk about the the path. I think that's the name they gave it to. They gave it to like the safe houses throughout the galaxy to try and connect the Jedi.
Hmm.
Which I think is a very interesting concept because we always knew there were like Jedi runaways and people helping the Jedi, but I never thought about like an underground society or like an underground
Hmm.
I don't, like group of people dedicated to helping Jedi, which I think is a great concept because it seems like it's completely like separated from the rebellion.
Yeah.
It seems like it doesn't have anything to do with the rebellion. So
Well, and
it's
and I think something that I think a lot of us forget is that for let's say you are in like your 30s and 40s in the time that Kenobi is happening, which means you were only like 20, 30 years old when the Republic fell. So
yeah,
that memory is fresh in your brain. And especially for those who, you know, you know, were loyal to the Republic and were loyal to the system and things like that and loyal to the Jedi, they had to do something, and I would think that those types of things have been around for years and years and years and years before then. Maybe they were, maybe this is where pirates come in. Maybe this is where smugglers come in. Maybe this is how we get Hondo. Maybe you never know.
maybe.
But like they name dropped a Jedi that we remember from Clone Wars, Quinlan Voss, and I'm
Random
so
Boss.
happy they did because if you remember, season 7 of Clone Wars was supposed to be like a full-fledged season,
Mhm.
along with the back half of season 6. And one of those episodes was an arc with Quinlan Voss and Ventress, where they meet each other, fall in love. She gives her life to save him, and then he kind of leaves the Jedi Order after that, like before Revenge of the Sith.
I didn't know
That
that.
is, yeah. Like look up all the other different. canceled season 6, 7 episodes. They're wild, but that was one of them.
But
But now
because
we have like our answer to, hey, this is what Quinlan's doing. This is how he's. I mean, yeah, it's crazy that a character we've only met for a couple of times in the show in Clone Wars is now playing a fairly big part in helping people get around in this time of the Empire.
which makes sense because that's what he will do, right? If I
Oh
remember
yeah,
his personality correctly,
his whole
I mean,
personality definitely kind of fits that a little bit.
yeah, yeah, and well, canonically now, as Adventurous is not dead canonically, because I don't know
True.
if those episodes you're talking about are canon or if there is a book or
Almost.
anything about them. Yeah, well, Asajj Ventress is not dead, or at least my understanding right now in the canon, Asajj Ventress is not dead. And with Quinlan Vos already name dropped, I honestly, if I understand the storytelling, I think we are going to get Quinlan Vos in live action. If not here, it's going to be in Ahsoka. If not in Ahsoka, it's going to be in Andor. Quinlan Vos is going to show up in one of the TV shows or even movies or whatever, because I don't think they are name dropping and making those references without reason. They know what
Yeah,
they're
I mean,
doing.
I think there's definitely a reason behind name dropping. I think, well, I think it's two pronged. One, I think there's a few like Quinlan who it's just like a little nudge to like fans, like, hey, remember this guy who was a fan favorite? Well, this is what he's doing. But I think for some others, we're gonna get a look at them at some point, whether it be later in the show for maybe a couple,
I don't
or
think so.
there's always more books coming out. There's
Yeah,
more comic stuff coming out. There's new shows. There's Ahsoka coming out. There's more Bad Batch coming out. There's the Acolyte, which is before
yeah,
the Phantom Menace, which might not connect all that much, coming out. Like there's a lot of new stuff coming out
yeah.
every month now. So I
It's
think we'll
the
see a
new
lot of
show
those
that's
new
announced
references pop up.
with the kids in the Empire era with Jude Law. What's the name?
Yeah,
The Skeleton
mhm.
Crew.
Skeleton Crew, that's what it's called.
Which, by the way, I'm really excited about that show. Low key, I'm really excited about the show.
And
Boss,
it's Johnny Wass, so it's gonna be good.
yeah, Boss coming to Disney Plus 2024. So, also, by the way, just a little, if you are running like a little like underground, undercover hiding place, maybe, just maybe don't carve the Jedi symbol on the wall just in case.
Yeah, you see, like because I see people complain about, oh, how did Raven know? Like, come on, like really, the sign was right there. It's very easy to see where that path is going. So I'm not surprised that she was able to
Yeah.
weave her way around at the end of the episode.
What that's kind of confusing me though, like how that path works. Like
I mean, like
because
she probably just used the Force, honestly.
right, that's yeah, because that's how the Force works.
That is how the Force works.
Because like I'm not complaining. I don't give a shit. But like so Leia was like going through the path. And then Riva is at the start of the path. And then Tala is going back the path. And they never cross each other.
Well, because I think Reva doubled back
Right,
before she got back to the beginning, so that's
right.
why they never interacted. Because if they did interact, obviously she would be dead, probably,
Yeah,
maybe.
yeah.
Um,
Also, I
yeah.
am not 100% sure of how convinced I am of Riva having Leia now. Because Riva having we are going to get Darth Vader interacting with Leia.
I don't think we will.
I
I don't think we will.
I don't know, man. It seems to be
I
leaning that way.
don't, because here's the thing. Here, it's possible, honestly, like
I don't
because
know how.
he knew. I mean, like he knew about Luke like before he made the connection that he was his son,
Yeah,
and but never physically interacted with him. So we don't know if he interacts with Leia. I don't know if it's possible for him to
Yeah,
not see that.
yeah. That's what I'm leaning. Because, but the thing is, I think it's gonna happen, and I'm just speculating. But I don't know if I I I just have to trust the creative. So far, mostly everything, every TV show I have seen from Star Wars, I have loved because I have not seen the Book of Boba Fett. So
That'll be the only one you don't love. Just
and I
point.
have I don't really have like a desire to watch it, and I probably won't. So yeah,
Here's the thing: you will need to probably watch it before Mandalorian season 3. So you have like 10 months or
yeah,
8 months to do it.
I have like one episode a month. I think I can I can handle that. So okay, now I'm going to say something I don't like about the episode, and then we can just dive into
Mhm.
the really great part about it.
Mhm.
I'm not digging the lightsaber designs of the Disney era. I non, I am not like the
What do
tubes
you mean? Like the shape
in
of
the
them?
in both the sequels and here, like they are like tubes. They used to be ah the thing like the saber used to be flat. You know what I mean? And now they are like
That's fair. I
tubes.
mean, like I'm not as
I
nitpicky
don't.
about that. I like it. Here's the thing: I like it a lot more than the razor thin Rebels design
Yes,
that we
yes,
got. The
yes,
Rebels
yes,
design was terrible,
yes.
but
That's true. But I meant the live action designs.
yeah. I mean, like I don't hate the design. I think I've just never like been all that nitpicky about that. It's kind of similar to like the prequels, honestly, in how they are designed.
They
Um,
For
which I
me
don't
they
like.
feel like they have taken like a Savvy's workshop lightsaber and just put light over the tube. They feel like a plastic tube hitting a
Well, I think I think that's also because the only time you see lightsabers ignited in the episode is when it's pitch black outside.
no, but the same problem happens in the prequels, in the sequels. So like, I
Yeah,
think it's how Disney does these lightsabers now. So
I
it's just
guess. Yes.
it's a neat picture. It's not, I don't care. Lightsaber fights is still cool, but just okay. I mean,
Yeah. If this is the one thing that we're thinking
yeah,
might be wrong with this show, then I think the show's in good hands.
yeah, yeah. So now the fight,
Mhm.
or just Darth Vader bullying an old man for like 7 minutes.
Yeah.
I loved it. I think it's exactly how I thought it was going to be, and the fact that Darth Vader goes like intimidating and being like, "Okay, now let's fight," and he was like, "Nope," and he just runs away. I
Hmm.
think it's exactly what it needed to happen, and that
It,
shot
it
of
shows off the
Obi-Wan.
reluctance of Obi-Wan in wanting to fight him because like he knows that Anakin is incredibly powerful and Vader is incredibly
Yeah,
powerful, and if he tries to fight him head on, he's gonna die.
yeah,
So it's just a moot point.
yeah. And also, I think one of my favorite shots or scenes of this episode is when we have just Obi-Wan Kenobi's face uh, lighted by. I'm really struggling with my words here because with English, with his blue um, lightsaber, and we are in his perspective, just moving around and scouting the landscape.
That messed me up because I'm like,
Yeah,
shit, you can't see anything.
yeah,
And
and
I
I
think on
really
purpose
thought,
too.
you were going to have Vader like right here at some point. I really thought you were. You remember? Do you know Empire? In Empire Strikes Back, in the fight between Luke Skywalker and Vader, where Luke is like going through a hallway, and then Darth Vader just appears and almost cuts his head off
Hmm.
without actually trying to kill him. Could you? I was like, so because right now he is actively trying to kill Obi-Wan.
Yeah,
So I think there is like a difference. Which, by the way, this fight really reminded me of Luke versus Vader one, because Darth Vader using just one hand, which is like
I think it's a mixture of Luke Vader 1 and Luke Vader 2. especially towards the beginning of Luke Vader 2, when Luke is he doesn't want to fight him. He doesn't
Right.
want to fight him. So he's evading, he's jumping, he's doing everything he can to avoid the fight.
Yeah, but I think that the difference between this fight and the other one is that in Luke versus Vader 2, they are evenly matched,
Well, yeah, this is also true.
which they are not.
The first, like the first half, it kind of feels like that. And of course, the rest of the fight feels like Luke Vader 1, where it's very unbalanced. He's just kind of toying with him at that point, waiting to finally just like get his hands on him.
He burns him alive, which I think it's really interesting.
Oh, that's a great decision, honestly. From a writing perspective, because like now Obi-Wan, you're gonna suffer.
Yeah,
you're gonna suffer for what you did to me, and he burns him. Not as severe, of course, as
I mean, it's not lava, but yeah, I mean, I really love the episode. I think this, and I know people are not. I mean, I know it's not as. It's a little more divisive than The Mandalorian, for example, because I know there are people out there who are not liking Obi-Wan because reasons. And I mean, one of my best friends is not liking Obi-Wan. He told me, and we usually have like a very similar taste when it comes to Star Wars. As well, it had to happen at some point, and I can understand why people feel like this is unnecessary. But I mean, most stories are unnecessary if you think about it.
It's fair.
So, like, I really like it, and I think it brings new shades to the characters of Obi-Wan and Leia, which I think Leia is a very forgotten character when it comes to like pre-original trilogy. And yeah, I just really like it, and I always love these. The Galactic Civil War is my favorite Star Wars period, and I am always into like diving into the wars and the logistics and how the people live and everything.
It's the most flexible era in terms of storytelling, because like there's so much you can put into it based off of what we know from the prequels, Clone Wars, and now with Rebels, Rogue One, Solo, and even the original trilogy. Like there's so much you could take from it and insert into this 19-year gap between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope. And slowly but surely all those gaps are being filled, because like we have Fallen Order 5 years in, now Kenobi and Solo both 10 years in, and then Rogue One 18 years in or whatever.
And I think just the concept of this unbeatable empire, that your protagonists are always underdogs, and that's a Star Wars to its core. That's what I think. That's what Star Wars originally was, fighting against like the evil empire, all powerful. And I think it's this period just is the perfect way to just encapsulate what the Star Wars was originally.
It's going back to what made it originally special. I think Kenobi is this perfect blend of reminding us of the roots of Star Wars, and then also reminding us, hey, these were the best of the roots of Star Wars in the prequels, giving us the best stuff from that, and kind of merging the two eras together. And I think it's the ultimate mixture of what's great about both trilogies.
All right, so I am not going to do the burn of the episode, because I mean, I'm going to give the burn of the episode to Darth Vader, because he literally burns Obi-Wan.
A literal burn of the episode. Literal burn.
Yeah. Now, you already mentioned it, but I'm going to do it anyway. Is Hondo Onaka in this episode?
No, he is not.
No, he's not. Okay, well, he will show up. I have faith he will show up, and Koho is not here to tell me he won't. So he's going to show up eventually. Now, I predicted an appearance from. Also, we were wrong, most of us, all of us, because
I'm happy that we were.
Yeah, we predicted like a Vader point of view, like first half of the episode, and we didn't get that.
and I predicted Vader going after Reva instead of Obi-Wan. And nope,
Yep.
they just kind of brushed the whole Inquisitor stuff under the table, which is
Yep.
kind of crazy.
Yep. Well, we are going to get it. I think Vader is not going to show up much more until like a few. I think now it's going to be Reva.
He may pop up in like a scene or two,
Yeah.
but
And
that's about it.
I mean, well, by the way, I want to say that I made a post on Facebook about this, but I mean, guys, if you're being racist against an actor, you just suck.
I mean, come on,
Like,
like really, like it's one thing to say that like she's maybe going a little over the top at times. Like, great, all actors do that.
yeah,
It's very prevalent in every era of Star Wars, but like, come on, like if you're gonna do that, just shut up, just shut
yeah,
up. I'm glad Star Wars is making a stand. I wish they would have done
yeah,
that with John Boyega and Kelly Marie Tran.
yeah.
But hey, they're doing it now, so that's something,
Better late than never, I guess.
I guess. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, now that being said, I am still with Riva. I don't know exactly how she feels yet because, like, yeah,
Because like I don't think we've truly gotten the essence of her character yet. I think she's a character that's going to remain a mystery until like the second to last or the last episode. And
especially,
honestly, I enjoy that because like I
yeah,
enjoy having stuff like that drive me crazy because I'm just like, cool, we're just gonna see how she ends up.
yeah. I just want answers, and
Mhm.
honestly, with Vader here now, she feels like an afterthought at this point.
And you saw like you can see her facial reactions when he's going through the village just slaughtering people. She's like,
Yeah,
what?
yeah. What the fuck did I do? I don't think she expected like him to be that brutal. I don't think they have
And
done that.
I think it kind of shows that she's all bark and no bite.
Yeah,
Because if you compare that to what she was doing in Mos Eisley
yeah,
with Owen, like she was threatening his life, but like obviously
yeah,
she was probably never going to do it.
yeah,
She was just using it as bait, whereas Vader will just cut you down with no questions asked.
yeah.
And she's like, "Oh my god, what the
I
hell?"
think she actually got like the real glimpse of how badly Vader wanted Kenobi.
Yeah,
So
and knowing that maybe I shouldn't go after Kenobi because that's his guy.
well, now let's move on to favorite moment of the episode. Thomas.
I think my favorite moment is it's actually this line. It's the first exchange between them, and Owen's like, "What have you become?" And he's like, "I am what you made me." And I
Yeah.
think it's like this, and it's a great intro to the conversation because there's no like hello, hi, or
How you
look
doing?
at me, look at what I've done. It feels like a conversation that started internally between the two, and it was just verbalized in the middle of the conversation.
Mhm.
And I love that. I love that. It's yeah, that's hands down my favorite moment of the episode.
I already mentioned it, but I'll mention it again. I think my favorite moment of the episode is the conversation between Leia and Obi-Wan in when they are alone in the transport.
Hmm.
Excuse me, I'm sick, by the way. Excuse me, like my voice is not exactly. I think the mention of Padme, the information of what we got about Obi-Wan and his past, and just the chemistry between Ewan McGregor and the actress who plays Leia, who I don't remember her name right
I can't
now.
remember the name,
I think it's just so great.
but
I
she's
think
doing a
she's
wonderful job.
yeah,
So if any of you talk shit to her,
yeah. No,
you're
I
gonna
mean
throw hands. We're gonna throw hands.
she's just a perfect casting. I just love her. Every time she opens her mouth, I'm just more and more in love with her. I mean,
Because you have that diplomatic feel of Padme, but the adventurous side of Anakin.
yeah, it's just the perfect way to do it. And now predictions. I want to make like a little difference because I think we are going to get a cameo in this show. We have name dropped Quinlan. We have name dropped a few people, but who do you think is going to be the cameo of the show?
I think ultimately the cameo of the show is going to be Liam Neeson as Qui-Gon. I don't think we're going to see him, but he's going to appear
Well,
in like
okay.
a vocal performance. I think in the next episode, he's going to finally connect with Qui-Gon, and they're going to have a conversation about what is happening right now, and with Anakin and what he needs to do. I think that's going to be a central part of the next episode, because I think the next episode is going to be about him recovering from
Yeah.
this, and I think he's going to have a conversation with Qui-Gon at some point.
I mean, okay, yeah. I mean, that's probably going to happen. I mean, I just I it feels like cheating, but I'm going to stick with Hondo. I genuinely
That's fair.
think Hondo. I genuinely think Hondo is going to show up, and I really hope Hondo shows up in this show. It also makes sense considering the type of like uh, the places they are moving,
Mm-hmm.
like the underground, and like it's
It,
like
it, it would be honestly kind of wild if Quinlan Voss showed up.
yeah. I don't
That'd
think
be
he's.
pretty badass. Well, I don't think he will, but
Nah.
be pretty badass.
I mean, could you imagine if he shows up to be killed by Vader? That would be.
All my Clone Wars fans out there are gonna be like, no,
Yeah.
why?
Did you? Yeah, like they cried when Boba Fett killed Cat Bane. Ugh.
I mean, like, yeah, I mean, yeah. I think,
Yeah.
yeah, that's fair. I didn't mind it. Like, I kind of knew that was gonna happen.
Yeah.
But it was still kind of wild to see.
Yeah.
Like, oh my god,
Well,
he's still alive and he's dead.
well, guys, this has been Kenobi Talk, episode 3. We hope you join us for next week, hopefully with Koho. So, yeah, may the force be with you. Bye. I pushed the wrong